So just to give a context on the topic that I'm going to take today on Power BI, which is the pagination. So pagination is nothing you have already seen in the web browsers. When you search for something and if you scroll down, you'll see a list of numbers that represents that the items are divided across each of these pages, right? So a similar concept we'll apply in the Power BI today. Let me just take you to the Power BI screen. So the end output would be something like this. All right. So we have different pages. So the end user. So this pagination concept is basically to give the end user more control on how they consume the report or content in the best way, which suits them. And they can also select like how many items they want to see in this particular page. And the rest of the items will be divided across the multiple pages based on the input given by the end user. All right. So I'll just give a quick demo. Currently, my input as an end user, I've given 10. All right. So the pages have, since I have only around less than 90 items, it will be divided across multiple pages up until 9. All right. So how can we do this? Let's start. Initially, we'll have the bar chart with a scrollable kind of thing, right? So in order to eliminate this, we can use the pagination concept. For that, what we need is one is the parameter to take the input on how many items we need to display in each page. And the other input parameter is if the user don't want to give the input, he just wanted to go by the default input and he just wants to select the pages. All right. So for this selecting pages also, we need two inputs. So basically two inputs are required, one for the items and one for the pages, right? So we'll go under the modeling and we'll insert two numeric ranges. These are just for the test. I've already created them, just telling you how to create it. We'll make it the minimum as 1 and the maximum as 100 since we are having less than 100, and the default will be 10. All right. I'll add this particular thing as a slicer to the page. And similarly, we can create another parameter also. It's the same thing. And we could format it in a different way, like whatever you see here, like just selecting the visual and going to the formatting settings and selecting the tile would give you this option. And we would also remove the sliders from the visual. All right. Now moving on. So how could we link this particular two inputs to the bar itself? We'll select the visual and going into the format option. Initially, we'll not be able to see the total labels because currently we are having only one particular series that will be going on in the bar. As you saw in the step 1, we have only one particular series, that is the total sales of this particular bar chart, right? And if we try to see in the format options, we don't have an option to enable total labels. To enable this total labels, we need one more series. Even in the series also, we'll not be able to see any other series. There will be only one series by default. So for that, we'll create a measure called dummy, which just holds a placeholder kind of thing with 0. All right. And using that in the x-axis, we'll be able to enable the total labels. Now the total labels is enabled. As you can see, the dummy is placed in the x-axis. So we have two series here. And even if we see in the data labels also, we'll have each series that we can customize. All right. And now we've been able to show the total sales and the ranking of each of these car dealers. So the car dealers are arranged, and based on the sales, the ranking has already been arranged. So for the rank, what I've created the measure is basically taking all the taking the car dealers, and based on the sales, total sales, I'm ranking them. It's a simple measure. All right. And moving on, under the total like the data labels, we have the option to select the all series or just one particular series. All right. So what I'll do is I'll select one particular series, and under the values, I'll use the custom label. I'll enable the custom label. And since we are seeing the ranking here, this is a measure that I've created as an item rank label that basically takes the item rank that we have already created earlier and just adding a hash symbol in front of it to represent it as a rank. And we'll place it on the custom data label on the total sales in the total sales series, so that it will be on the bar itself. But the result that we are trying to do is something that would be like in between the bar and the axis label. So we don't want it on the bar, but somewhere in between the axis label and bar, we need the output to be there, the additional information, right? For that, what we can do is we can create the dummy variable that we have created earlier. We can just modify it to 2 million or some other number, just so that it can add space to the existing bar. We'll select the visual. I'll just show you. And under the data labels, if we select the dummy 2 itself, sorry, under the total sales current year, we have given the ranking label, and the position is something that we can adjust using the inside base or the metrics that are already here. But the thing is, we have the additional information onto the right, but we need it onto the left. So how could we swap this information that we have on the right side to the left side, so that it would be between the axis labels and the bar chart? Is simply by selecting the visual under the x-axis. If we change the position of the measure dummy 2 from, so the value would be shifted from the right side towards the left side, and we need to do a little bit formatting. After that, the result would be something like this. But it is obvious that we have applied a trick on a bar chart to make the rankings on the left side and the total sales on the right side. So we don't want that perception for the end user, right? So for that, what we can do is we can completely enable the disable the background color for the dummy variable alone, so that it would be somewhere in between the bar and the axis label. And after that, we can format that dummy variable alone itself to show as a different background color under the data labels. By selecting the dummy variable, the dummy measure, we can add a background there, right? Moving on. So here, what we have showed is the ranking of the current year and the ranking of the previous year, basically the change in the ranking, whether it has gone up or gone down. So I've used this ranking development label logic, basically. Okay. So what this measure is doing is, I've created one variable which takes the current year's rank and subtracts it from the previous year rank, so that we would get the change of the rank. And I'll come to this particular extra space variable later. And here in the indicator variable, what we are doing is, if we are using a switch function, and based on that particular condition, if that is true, so that we'll get the appropriate output. The item rank change equal to 0. So basically, the current year and previous year, the difference is 0. Then it essentially means that previous year, okay, let's take the store C as an example here for the 0. So current year, the ranking is 3, and previous year, the ranking is 3. So it remains constant. So there is no change there, right? So we would give it as a hyphen. And for the item rank change greater than 0. All right. So if we take store A as an example, the current year ranking is 2 and the previous year ranking is 1. So it has gone down from 1 to 2. That means the rank has decreased, right? So we'll use the decrease symbol here. And for the third condition, the item rank change less than 0. All right. So let's take the example of store B. So the current year, it's the ranking of the store is 1. And for the previous year, the ranking of the store is 2. All right. So 1 minus 2 will get -1. So actually it has increased. So current year it is in the 1, and previous year it is in the second position. So the ranking has gone up from second to first, right? So based on this, we have created these 3 conditions, and just we need the difference to be there. Like how many ranks did it go up, or how many ranks did it come down? So we are taking the absolute of the difference, not the exact difference. All right. So coming to this variable extra space. So in Power BI, there is a restriction. Even if you add n number of spaces, all right, the rep is basically function that repeats whatever value that we give as an input and how many times we have to repeat that input. So that is what I have given here. So I've given just a space here and I've asked it to repeat it 6 times. And I've included that so that we don't see here any space, right? Between the hash 9 and upward arrow 1. So I wanted to add a space in between these two. But even though we have added everything correctly, the Power BI automatically detects the empty spaces and it removes it. So the alternate solution for this is there would be something like invisible characters. All right. It would look like space, but actually that is not a space. So we could copy those particular invisible characters and place them in the rep function, like how many times you wanted to see that particular. So entire thing is one space, equivalent to one space. So I want around 5 spaces in between the hashtag 9 and upward arrow 1. So that is the reason I've taken the invisible character here and repeated it 5 times. All right. So the end output would be something like this. So we got the space. So coming to the color, so how can we format them? Like the end output we have in colors, right? Whether it has increased or gone down, those are indicated in red and green, right? So for that, what we can do is we can create another measure called rank in development color, in which it's the same condition, like if the difference is greater than 0, less than 0, and that thing, and we have given a colors. If it is equal to 0, that means it is constant from the last year and current year. So then we are denoting it with gray. If it is decreased compared to the last year, then we are giving it a red. If it is increased compared to last year, then we are giving it a green. So based on this, what we can do is we can format it under the data labels and selecting that particular series. Under the values, we have this conditional formatting, right? So clicking on the conditional formatting and selecting the measure that we have created, which is the ranking development color, would result in this particular output. So any of the questions up until now?
Balu, on the dummy series front, Balu. So basically we are using sort of dual axis, right?
Yeah, just to activate the total sales here, Akhil, because since we are using only one particular series here on the x-axis, right?
Right.
So then we will not have any option for us to enable the total labels here. We don't have direct option to enable the total sales, like the total labels, right?
Why do we need total labels?
Since we are, see, in the data labels also, we don't have additional, like to show the additional information, we need one or more series, right? Greater
Right.
than one series.
Got it.
So to enable that itself, like you can add the custom label directly here. Like if you can go to the values and add the custom label, you can add any of the label, but that will be resulting in showing only one value on the bar, not more
Correct.
than one,
Yes.
right? So in order to show more than one value, like what we are trying to do here is we are showing the rank on the left side and total sales on the right side, right?
Correct.
And we are increasing that to a step further and showing the difference of the rank and the rank itself and the total sales,
Right.
right? Totally, we are showing around 3 particular different informations in the same bar.
Makes
But
sense.
yeah, that for that to be in place, we need to do a workaround kind of thing to temporarily enable the total labels. For that, we have created the dummy variable, like
Correct.
dummy measure.
Understood. So now this is a dual axis, right? Is that like right to assume?
Yeah,
Okay. So can you go to step number 11?
yeah.
So for the bars, where is the zeroth axis? So will it be starting from, all the way before the labels, custom labels, whatever we created, or will that going to start from the point where it says page 2?
Actually, it will be starting from here itself. You can see the mouse pointer, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it will be starting from here, but it like in the visual itself, it displays as if it starts from here.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
It's
Yeah.
just that we have formatted it in such a way.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. And coming to the items. So based on that, the end user now is more flexible on how many, like if he wants to go back to the previous version, like he wants to see all the results, right? That can also be done. If he wants a scroll bar, that can also be done. If he wants to customize from his end, like we don't know how each end user will have their own way to, like best way to consume the content, right? So for that particular use case, this would be a perfect scenario. Like they would choose the number of items that they wish to see in that particular page, and based on that, the pages will be automatically arranged. And one more thing I've just forgot. Yeah, coming to the item filter. So in this particular item filter measure, so the input whatever the end user will give here in the items will be automatically checked in the items value. And similarly, whatever the page that the end user selects here under the pages, that will be automatically checked in the pages value. So using this items value and pages value, what we can do is we can filter down the pages. Like here we are able to see only 9 pages, but that's not the thing. If we remove the filter on this particular visual, like I have removed the page filter, even though we have the data up until 9 pages, right? In 10 and anything beyond 10, we don't have the data, but still we are able to see the empty pages, right? So for to make it constant and to remove these additional pages where there is no information, we have created a page filter that basically takes the distinct count of the car dealers that we have, and it removes all the filters and takes a count then. And based on that, that is assigned to a variable called total number of items. And show number of items, here we are referring to the items value. In the items value is basically the end user's input. All right, so it will be checked with that, and we'll divide the total by, like let's say the total is 100, and the end user has taken given the input as 10. All right, so 10 100 divided by 10, we need to get 10 items per page for 10 pages. Is that clear? Let me just give you an example. All right, so let's have let's assume we are having around 153 items, and the user has given an input of 7 in the items page. All right, so we got something around 21.85. It's not possible for us to show this 0.85 page. We can either show 21 pages or 22 pages, right? For that itself, we have used the roundup function here, and after that we'll get the value, right? So we'll use that value as a filter for the page visualization, like the pages that we display. I'll select there and is equal to 1. Then the pages will automatically like will be in the range. If at all the end user has selected something where there is no data, all right, currently I have selected 13 previously where there is no data, but if I just switch back, the 13 will be automatically disappeared. That's what. So any other questions or doubts or clarifications needed on this front?